First Contact and Defiance. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha, her eyes fixed on the massive holographic display showing the solar system. The array of red dots clustering near Jupiter's orbit had appeared 3 days ago, and their number kept growing. Earth's most advanced sensors couldn't determine their exact nature, but one thing was clear. They weren't natural phenomena. "Commander!" Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled through her comm unit. "The anomalies, they're moving, all of them, toward Earth." Chen's fingers tightened around the railing. After years of speculation, decades of SETI projects, and centuries of wondering, humanity's first contact was approaching, and it looked like an invasion fleet. "General quarters," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "And get me the Defense Council. Now." Within hours, the mysterious objects resolved into ships, massive vessels that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly purple sheen, their designs defying conventional engineering principles. The lead vessel alone was larger than Manhattan. The first transmission came as the fleet passed Mars. "People of Earth," the message began, transmitted simultaneously on all frequencies in perfect English. The holographic figure that appeared was humanoid, but clearly artificial, its metallic skin reflecting light in impossible ways. "We are the Concordat. Your species has been observed since you first split the atom. Your technological progression has become concerning. You will submit to integration, or you will be eliminated. You have 72 hours to surrender your sovereignty." The transmission ended, leaving Earth's leaders in stunned silence. But in a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Elena Volkov smiled for the first time in 15 years. "Director," she spoke into her secure comm, "Project Prometheus is ready. Tell the Defense Council it's time." The facility housed humanity's greatest secret, a prototype vessel that represented a quantum leap in human technology. While the world's governments publicly focused on conventional space forces, a hidden coalition of scientists had been working on something revolutionary. The vessel, officially designated as XCV-001, but nicknamed Prometheus, was humanity's first and only quantum-state dreadnought. It could manipulate the very fabric of space-time using technology that Dr. Volkov and her team had reverse-engineered from a mysterious artifact found in the Mariana Trench decades ago. Captain Michael Okafor stood in the ship's command center studying the quantum interface displays. As one of the few humans capable of interfacing with the ship's advanced AI, he had spent years preparing for a moment he hoped would never come. "Zephyr," he addressed the ship's AI, "what are our chances against their fleet?" The AI's response materialized as patterns of light in the quantum neural interface. Based on preliminary scans, the Concordat vessels utilize conventional space-time physics. They have no defenses against quantum manipulation. However, they outnumber us approximately 50,000 to 1. Okafor nodded. "So, we have the advantage." Dr. Volkov entered the command center, her silver hair contrasting sharply with her black uniform. "The Defense Council has given us authorization. The Concordat expects us to either surrender or launch a conventional defense. They don't know about us, about Prometheus. How long until we're ready?" Okafor asked. "The quantum core is charging. We'll be at full capacity in 48 hours. The Concordat gave us 72, Okafor noted. Perfect timing." As the deadline approached, the alien fleet maintained its position, a silent threat hanging over Earth. Conventional military forces were mobilized worldwide, but it was merely a show, a careful deception to maintain the illusion of normal preparation. The real action was happening in the underwater facility as the final preparations were made on humanity's secret weapon. The Prometheus's quantum core pulsed with energy, never before wielded by human hands. Its power barely contained by fields that bent the very nature of reality. "All systems are green. Dr. Volkov reported 24 hours before the deadline. The quantum matrices are stable, and the AI neural networks are operating at optimal efficiency. Captain Okafor addressed his hand-picked crew of 300. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. We're going to take this ship, which the enemy doesn't know exists, and show them why humanity should never be underestimated. We're going to use technology they can't comprehend to defeat an army they think is invincible. As he spoke, the massive doors of the underwater facility began to open, revealing the dark waters above. The Prometheus hung suspended in its cradle, its hull seeming to shift between states of matter, a visual representation of the quantum uncertainty it commanded. Zephyr, Okafor commanded, begin launch sequence. The AI's response resonated through the quantum neural network. Launch sequence initiated. Remember, Captain, what we're about to attempt defies several laws of physics as currently understood. Okafor smiled. That's what humans do best, Zephyr. We defy the impossible. The Prometheus rose from its hidden berth, water cascading off its quantum-shifted hull as it broke the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Its true form became visible, a vessel that looked less like a traditional spacecraft and more like a piece of reality that had decided to take ship form. Humanity's response to the Concordate's ultimatum was about to begin, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Project Starborn. The Prometheus rose silently through Earth's atmosphere, its quantum-shifted hull rendering it invisible to both conventional sensors and the naked eye. Captain Okafor stood at the command center, watching through the quantum blast viewport as the blue of Earth's sky faded to the black of space. "Status report," he commanded, his voice calm despite the weight of humanity's future resting on their mission. Dr. Volkov's fingers danced across the quantum interface. "The core is performing beyond expectations. Quantum field integrity at 98%. All systems nominal." She paused, studying the complex pattern of light that only those trained in quantum mechanics could interpret. "Though I must admit, I never thought we'd be testing these theories in actual combat." "The Concordate fleet has begun moving," Zephyr announced, its consciousness manifesting as shifting patterns of light throughout the bridge. "They are positioning themselves for what appears to be a standard orbital bombardment formation." Through the quantum-enhanced sensors, they could see the alien fleet spreading out in a precise geometric pattern around Earth. 50,000 ships, each capable of devastating a continent, arranged in a formation that had likely conquered countless worlds before. "Show me their command structure," Okafor ordered. The quantum display shifted, revealing energy patterns connecting the alien vessels. "Fascinating," Dr. Volkov murmured. "They're using a form of quantum entanglement for communication, but it's crude compared to our systems. They understand the principles, but not the full implications. Can we use that against them?" Okafor asked. "Better." Dr. Volkov smiled. "We can make their own network their greatest weakness. Zephyr, initiate quantum resonance mapping." The AI began analyzing the complex web of connections between the alien ships. Their network architecture is hierarchical. Each ship is connected to a sector command vessel, which in turn links to the fleet command. The entire system relies on quantum stability, and we, Dr. Volkov's eyes gleamed, are about to introduce some uncertainty into their equation. In the ship's engine room, Chief Engineer Maya Santos monitored the quantum core's pulsing heart. The device they'd reverse-engineered from the Mariana Trench artifact had evolved far beyond its original form, integrated with humanity's best innovations in ways its creators had likely never imagined. "Core temperature nominal," she reported through the quantum link. "Ready to initiate quantum field expansion on your command." The deadline was approaching. Around Earth, conventional military forces maintained their show of preparation, launching outdated spacecraft and positioning defensive satellites. The Concorde at Fleet watched these efforts with the indifference of a superior force observing primitive resistance. They didn't notice the ripples in space-time as the Prometheus moved into position behind Mars's larger moon, Phobos. The quantum drive allowed them to traverse vast distances without conventional propulsion, sliding between the spaces that existed between spaces. "All hands!" Okafor's voice resonated through the quantum neural network, connecting the crew. "In 1 hour, we make humanity's first strike against an alien aggressor. Everything we've trained for, everything we've prepared for, comes down to this moment." Dr. Volkov approached the captain's station, her expression serious. "There's something you need to know before we engage. The quantum core's capabilities, they exceed our original calculations. The power we're wielding, it could reshape reality itself if fully unleashed." "You're saying we might be too powerful?" Okafor raised an eyebrow. "I'm saying we need to be precise. One miscalculation, one moment of overconfidence, and we could tear a hole in space-time that would make the concordate threat look trivial." Zephyr's presence rippled through the quantum field. "I have completed analysis of potential attack strategies. There are exactly 2,749 possible approaches that balance maximum effect against minimum risk to space-time stability. Show me the top." "3," Okafor commanded. The quantum display came alive with simulations. The first showed a direct assault, using their quantum fields to disrupt the Concordate's communication network. The second demonstrated a more subtle approach, manipulating probability fields to cause cascading systems failures throughout the enemy fleet. The third was something entirely new. This third option. Dr. Volkov leaned forward, her eyes wide. "Zephyr, you found a way to weaponize quantum, uncertainty itself." "Correct," the AI responded. "By introducing a controlled quantum uncertainty field into their network, we can cause their own quantum entanglement system to collapse. The effect would spread at FTL speeds through their entire command structure." "And their ships?" Okafor asked. "Would experience every possible quantum state simultaneously. The result would be unpredictable, but catastrophic for their fleet." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. They had built Prometheus to defend Earth, but they had created something that could revolutionize humanity's understanding of the universe itself. 10 minutes to deadline," Zephyr announced. Okafor straightened in his command chair. "Begin power-up sequence. Maya, bring the quantum core to full capacity. Dr. Volkov, prepare the uncertainty field generators. Zephyr, plot an approach vector that will give us maximum tactical surprise." The Prometheus hummed with power as its systems engaged. Beneath its quantum-shifted hull, reality itself seemed to bend and flex, responding to the ship's impossible nature. "The Concordate is broadcasting," Zephyr reported. "They're demanding our surrender." Okafor smiled grimly. "Let's give them our answer. Battle stations, everyone. We're about to show them what happens when you threaten a species that turned quantum mechanics into a weapon." The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and the laws of physics themselves were about to be rewritten. Battle begins. The first Concordate ships to detect the Prometheus didn't understand what they were seeing. Their sensors registered a distortion in space-time, but the readings defied their advanced technology's ability to interpret them. By the time they realized they were dealing with a vessel, it was already too late. "Multiple contacts registering confusion in their quantum network," Zephyr reported. "Its consciousness flowing through the ship's systems. They're attempting to adapt their sensors to track us." Captain Okafor watched the tactical display as thousands of alien vessels began shifting formation, trying to locate the source of the anomaly their instruments had detected. "Dr. Volkov, status of the uncertainty field?" "Ready for deployment," she responded, her hands moving through the quantum interface. "The moment we engage, Their entire command structure will be exposed. The Prometheus glided through space like a shadow between stars, its quantum-shifted hull bending light and reality around it. The massive concordate fleet, spread out in their perfect geometric formation, suddenly seemed less like an invincible armada and more like a carefully arranged set of dominoes. "Select primary target," Okafor commanded. "Let's show them what we can do." Zephyr highlighted a cluster of concordate vessels near the edge of their formation. "These ships appear to be a secondary command node. Disrupting them will create maximum confusion while allowing us to test the uncertainty field's effectiveness." "Maya, bring quantum weapons online," Okafor ordered. "Full power to forward projectors." In the engine room, Chief Engineer Santos watched as the quantum core's energy level surged. The impossible device they built pulsed with power that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime, its potential barely contained by fields of pure mathematics. "Weapons hot," she reported. "Core stability at optimal levels, ready to fire on your command." The Prometheus's bow seemed to split open, revealing what looked like a tear in reality itself. Energy that didn't belong in this universe gathered in a swirling vortex of possibility. Fire. The quantum beam didn't so much travel through space as it ignored it entirely. One moment, there was a cluster of 30 concordate warships. The next, they existed in all possible states simultaneously. Intact, destroyed, never built, still being constructed, made of energy, made of matter, existing, everywhere and nowhere. Then the quantum uncertainty collapsed and the ships simply ceased to be. The effect on the concordate fleet was immediate. Their perfect formation broke as ships began maneuvering frantically. Their sensors overwhelmed by readings they couldn't process. Emergency signals flooded their quantum network, creating chaos in their previously ordered communication system. "Enemy fleet is responding," Zephyr announced. "Multiple weapon systems powering up. They're preparing for a mass barrage." Thousands of energy beams lashed out from the concordate ships, filling space with enough firepower to vaporize a continent. But the Prometheus shifted between quantum states, existing in multiple positions simultaneously. Every shot passed through space where the ship might have been, could have been, but wasn't. "Their weapons are based on conventional physics," Dr. Volkov observed, studying the attack patterns. "They have no defense against quantum manipulation. Zephyr, analyze their weapon signatures. Find me a vulnerability in their targeting systems." The AI's response was immediate. "Analysis complete. Their targeting relies on predictive algorithms assuming normal space-time behavior. Recommendation, increase quantum fluctuation rate to exploit this weakness." Okafor nodded. "Do it." "Maya, how's the core holding up?" "Like a dream, Captain," the engineer replied. "The more we push it, the more it seems to adapt. It's almost like it's learning." A new alert flashed across the quantum display. The concordate fleet was launching fighters. Tens of thousands of smaller vessels that filled space like a swarm of angry insects. Each one was still larger than Earth's largest conventional warship. "They're trying to saturate the area," Dr. Volkov noted. "Make it impossible for us to maintain quantum uncertainty across such a wide field." "Then let's change the rules," Okafor decided. "Zephyr, prepare to execute attack pattern Omega. Dr. Volkov, increase power to the uncertainty field generators. Maya, I need everything you can give me from the core." The Prometheus's quantum field expanded, creating a bubble of altered reality around the ship. Inside this space, probability itself became a weapon. Concordate fighters found themselves executing maneuvers they hadn't planned, firing at targets that existed only in potential. Their sophisticated systems unable to cope with a reality that refused to follow proper physical laws. "Sir," Maya's voice carried a note of excitement. "The core is responding to the combat stress. Power output is exceeding theoretical maximums. Whatever this thing is, it was designed for exactly this kind of fight. Through the quantum glass viewport, they watched as entire squadrons of concordate fighters vanished, their very existence becoming a mathematical uncertainty that resolved itself into non-existence. The main fleet began to pull back, their perfect formation completely shattered. "They're regrouping," Zephyr reported, reading massive energy buildup in their command ships. They appear to be preparing some form of concentrated attack. Okafor studied the tactical display, watching as the concordate fleet reformed into a new pattern. They're adapting faster than expected. Time to show them our next trick. He turned to Dr. Volkov. "Doctor, is the quantum cascade ready?" She nodded, her expression both excited and worried. "Ready, but untested. If it works, it will affect their entire command structure simultaneously. If it fails, we'll tear a hole in reality itself," Okafor finished. "Well, we knew this wasn't going to be a normal battle." Zephyr, begin quantum cascade sequence. Let's show the concordate why you don't threaten the species that turned uncertainty into a weapon. The greatest phase of the battle was about to begin, and the very fabric of space-time held its breath. Turning point. The quantum cascade began as a whisper in reality's fabric. Through the Prometheus's sensors, the crew watched as waves of probability distortion ripple through the Concordat's quantum communication network. At first, nothing seemed to happen. "Cascade wave propagating," Dr. Volkov reported, her fingers dancing through the quantum interface. "Initial feedback readings are unexpected." Captain Okafor leaned forward in his command chair. Unexpected good or unexpected bad? Before she could answer, space itself seemed to shudder. The nearest concordate vessels began to twist, their hulls existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Some ships stretched into impossible shapes. Others compressed into points of infinite density, while others simply flickered between different versions of reality. "The cascade is affecting their physical structure," Zephyr announced, its consciousness pulsing with analytical intensity. "Their quantum communication network is acting as a conduit for our uncertainty field. Effect is spreading exponentially." Through the quantum blast viewport, they watched as the concordate fleet like a virus. Ships that had once moved with perfect precision now stumbled through space-time, their crews unable to maintain control as reality itself became unreliable around them. But then, something changed. "Energy spike," Maya's voice crackled through the quantum link. "The core is detecting some kind of resonance pattern from the concordate fleet. They're trying to stabilize their quantum states." On the tactical display, they could see it happening. The largest concordate vessels, their command ships, were generating massive energy fields that seemed to push back against the quantum uncertainty. Space began to crystallize around them, forcing reality back into conventional physics. "How is this possible?" Dr. Volkov demanded, her hands flying over the controls. "They shouldn't have this capability. Unless," her eyes widened, "unless they've encountered something like this before." The Concordate's counterattack came without warning. Beams of concentrated certainty, there was no other way to describe them, lanced out from their command ships. Where they struck, quantum probability collapsed into single states. The Prometheus shuddered as one of these beams grazed their quantum field. "Hull integrity fluctuating," Maya reported. "The core is struggling to maintain quantum uncertainty. Whatever they're using, it's forcing us back into normal space-time." "Zephyr, analysis," Okafor commanded. The AI's response rippled through the ship's systems. "The concordate vessels are generating fields of forced probability collapse. They are attempting to deny us the advantage of quantum uncertainty." However, the AI paused, something it had never done before. However, their technique is revealing something about their own nature. Dr. Volkov saw it too. "They're not just fighting us," she breathed. "They're afraid of us. This technology, this response, it's automated, built into their ships like an immune response. Captain, I don't think we're the first to use quantum warfare against them. Another certainty beam struck the Prometheus, closer this time. The ship's quantum field flickered, and for a moment, they felt the pull of normal space-time trying to reclaim them. Core stability dropping, Maya warned. We can't take many more hits like that. Okafor studied the tactical display, watching as the Concordate fleet reformed around their command ships. The enemy had revealed a powerful defense, but in doing so, they had also revealed something crucial about themselves. Dr. Volkov, he said slowly, you said the response was automated, built in. What happens to an immune system if you overwhelm it? Her eyes lit up with understanding. It crashes. But, Captain, to generate that kind of quantum pressure, we'd need to expose the core. Maya finished through the quantum link. Remove all the quantum dampeners and let it interact directly with space-time. Sir, that would be like detonating a reality bomb. More importantly, Zephyr added, there is a 78.3% chance it would destroy us as well. Okafor looked around the bridge at the crew who had trained for years for this moment. And what are the chances Earth survives if we don't try? The silence that followed was answer enough. Maya, begin core exposure sequence. Dr. Volkov, reconfigure the uncertainty field to channel the core's output. Zephyr, plot us a course right through the heart of their fleet. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. The Prometheus's quantum field began to pulse with new intensity as Maya carefully removed the safeguards from the core. Reality around the ship became increasingly unstable as more of the core's true nature was revealed. Sir, Maya's voice was tense. The core, it's not just producing quantum uncertainty anymore. It's like it's waking up. These energy patterns, they're not random. They're intelligent, Dr. Volkov finished. Of course, the artifact we found, the one we built the core from, we never... under the strain of containing forces that reality itself couldn't quite handle. Take us in. Full power to quantum drives. Let's show the Concorde what happens when you push humanity to its absolute limit. The Prometheus surged forward, its partially exposed core leaving trails of quantum distortion in its wake. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before, weaponize the impossible itself. The fate of Earth and possibly reality as they knew it hung in the balance. Victory and new dawn. As the Prometheus charged toward the heart of the Concorde at Fleet, reality itself began to unravel. The quantum core, now exposed to raw space-time, pulsed with power that defied comprehension. Streams, Clear's throat of probability, twisted around the ship like cosmic serpents, devouring certainty itself. Core exposure at 75%, Maya reported, her voice strained. The quantum field is becoming self-sustaining. It's starting to grow on its own. Through the quantum blast viewport, they watched as their ship's wake tore holes in the fabric of space-time. Behind them, countless possible futures bloomed and died like quantum flowers, each reality lasting only fractions of a second before collapsing into new possibilities. The Concordate fleet is responding, Zephyr announced. They're concentrating their certainty beams, calculating impact in 15 seconds. Dr. Volkov's hands flew over the quantum interface. The core's reaction is unprecedented. These patterns, Captain, I don't think, Clear's throat. We built a weapon. I think we built a key. Before Okafor could respond, dozens of certainty beams converged on the Prometheus. But instead of forcing them back into normal space-time, the beams were absorbed into their quantum field, feeding it, strengthening it. The core's pulse became a roar that resonated through dimensions that shouldn't exist. They're making it stronger, Maya realized. Every attempt to force certainty is just giving the core more power to create uncertainty. The tactical display showed the Concordat fleet's desperate attempts to maintain formation as waves of quantum distortion washed over them. Their ships began to phase in and out of reality, existing in multiple states simultaneously. Some vessels found themselves occupying the same space in different timelines, creating impossible geometries that reality itself rejected. Then the core spoke, not in words, but in patterns of quantum probability that Zephyr instantly translated. Rit si ug ni shun, awakening, purpose, the artifact, Dr. Volkov. Breathed. It wasn't just technology. It was waiting. Waiting for a species that could understand it, use it, awaken it. The Prometheus's quantum field expanded exponentially, enveloping entire squadrons of concordant ships in bubbles of pure probability. Inside these spaces, the laws of physics became suggestions, and certainty became a distant memory. The automated defenses of the alien vessels, designed to force reality into familiar patterns, began to overload and fail. Multiple quantum breaches detected throughout the enemy fleet, Zephyr reported. Their command network is experiencing cascading failures. The effect is spreading faster than predicted. Through the chaos, a transmission cut through their quantum communications. The metallic face of the concordant commander appeared, its artificial features showing something like fear for the first time. "What have you done?" it demanded. "You wield forces beyond your comprehension. You will destroy everything." Okafor stood from his command chair, facing the transmission squarely. "No, we comprehend exactly what we're doing. We understood enough to wake it up, to use it without being used by it. That's why it chose us." The core's pulse reached a crescendo. Reality around the Prometheus became a quantum storm, probability and possibility swirling together in patterns that made mathematics scream. The concordant fleet's rigid formation collapsed completely as ships began to quantum tunnel through each other, their certainty-based technology unable to cope with a universe that refused to follow their rules. "Core has reached full exposure," Maya announced. "Quantum field it's everywhere. Sir, we're not just affecting their ships anymore. We're changing how space-time works in this entire sector." Dr. Volkov's eyes were wide as she studied the readings. "The core isn't just creating uncertainty. It's rewriting the fundamental rules. Captain, I think this is why the Concordat fears species like us. We don't just use technology. We change it, improve it, make it into something new." The Concordat commander's transmission was breaking up, its image flickering between multiple quantum states. "You cannot control this." "We don't need to control it," Okafor replied. "We just need to understand it, and humanity has always been good at understanding things that should be impossible." The quantum storm reached its peak. For a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then reality collapsed and reformed in a cascade of probability that swept through the entire concordant fleet. Ships that had once enforced certainty found themselves on the wrong side of possibility. One by one, then in groups, then in massive waves, they winked out of existence, not destroyed, but relegated to quantum states that had no intersection with baseline reality. When the quantum storm finally subsided, the Prometheus hung alone in space. Where there had been 500,000 concordant ships, there was now only the quiet hum of background probability. "Enemy fleet eliminated," Zephyr reported, almost sounding surprised. "No residual quantum signatures detected. They have been completely phase-shifted out of our reality." The core's pulse gentled, settling into a steady rhythm that felt almost satisfied. Its quantum pattern spoke through Zephyr again. Purpose fulfilled. Seeing the unbiased achieved. "Sir," Maya called through the quantum link, "the core has stabilized. It's integrated itself fully with our systems. I think it's made itself permanently part of the ship." Dr. Volkov looked up from her readings, her expression filled with wonder. We didn't just win a battle, Captain. We've discovered something that will change humanity forever. The core, the quantum technology. It wasn't a weapon. It was an invitation to join something greater. Okafor nodded, looking out at the now empty space where the Concordate fleet had been. Send word to Earth. Tell them. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Tell them that humanity just took its first real step into the galaxy, and we did it our way. By doing the impossible. As the Prometheus turned toward home, its quantum field rippling gently through multiple dimensions, the crew knew they had been part of something unprecedented. They had not just defended Earth, they had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to understand, adapt, and transform the very rules of